Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hardcore Showcase. Today we are talking about my very first hardcore gig. Now, I was recently a guest on the Growing Up, Not Growing Old podcast. Shout out to my mate Mike Rousseau who runs that show. Great show. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify. He's got a YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below. Check it out. I was on there recently and he asked me what my very first metal gig was, which we spoke about on the show. And then he asked me what my first hardcore gig was. Now, this one's it's a bit of a, I've asked this question before, is this band hardcore? Some say yes, some say no. And my first gig was Biohazard. Now, Biohazard they're hardcore, but they have metal as well. And, you know, if you watch the Punishment video, there's Hoyers in there, Isaacs in there. They're very much in the New York hardcore scene. It's a bit of a debate whether they're a hardcore band or whether they're a metal band. I consider them a hardcore band, but the debate's out there. Anyway, the gig in question was this. I still have the ticket stub. I say it's a stub. It's not really a stub. It's the ticket. It was Biohazard. Plus Dog Eat Dog. And they're not on there, but plus Downset. I saw them at the TIV in Buckley. I lived in Wales at the time, so I'd travel over and I'd go and see them in the TIV. We saw so many bands in the TIV. It was unbelievable. So this was 1994. I've got ticket stub number 4. And look at the price. £5 for 3 bands. Oh, you want to see the likes of those days again? I tell you, absolutely. Now this was a turning point for me. So I got into Sick of It All. I got into Biohazard. I got into Dog Eat Dog. Got into Downset and stuff like that. And I was caning all their albums. So albums in question while we're here. So Downset were up first. What an album! Yes, I'm not going through the records here. I've got them here, so I'm going to show you. So by this point, before this gig came up in '94, you know, this had come out in 1994, and this album was it was just everything about this album was great. You know, Anger, Ritual, Take 'Em Out, Downset the Track, Dying of Thirst, Breathe the Killer, brilliant stuff. Yeah, '94. So this was an eye opener. So when Downset came on, it was unbelievable because in the TIV, if ever you've been to the TIV, right, they had a bar. Like a what do you call it? A bar, it's like a barrier. It was a barrier, and it had steps. And they start with Anger, and of course Ray says Anger, hostility towards the opposition, and then everyone's getting psyched and stuff like that, and then it was a case of as the bass kicked in, when James Morris kicked in with the bass, do 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 do. Every time he said Anger, everyone took a step. Everyone just took a step closer. And then it got to the point of, you know, anger towards hostility towards the opposition, and then it kicks off, and the place absolutely erupted. Now, I haven't stated that back in 1994, I was fearless. I thought I was indestructible, and I used to stage dive like crazy. Absolutely, I'd go to the TIV, and if I hadn't stage dived, the gig would be. The night would be ruined. Stage diving for me back in the 90s was just like, I don't know, it was like a drug. I just loved stage diving. I was always up on the stage and always flipping over, never outstaying me welcome, but I was always up and around because I was a kid, energetic, thin, you know what I mean, long hair, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It got to the point where I'd turn up at the TIV at the door and the security would be like, hey, you. No funny business from you now. I got to the point where it was like, it's him again. Him, the bloody lad who's always in the air. And it was like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I'm not going to cause any trouble or anything. Stuff like that. That's how it was. Now, my God, would I stage dive now? Would I? Hell, my God. You'd imagine one flip, bang, smash. I'd be in pieces. I would be in pieces. No, there's no way on earth I would stage dive anymore. I barely even go in the pit. You know, I watched The Devil's Henchman from Liverpool the other night, and I was at the side just edging people off. You know, when people come running into you, like, off you go, go on, off you go. Yeah, no, pit days have long gone, but this was prime pit TM. This is prime pit Tin Man. This was. So yeah, the place erupted. Downset were just absolutely incredible right from the off. James Morris on the bass, he's about 9 foot tall. You know, he's flipping his bass around everywhere. It was it was so good. It was so good. It got to the point where it was that good that when Downset used to come back over, they'd always play the TIV. they would always play the TIV, and we saw Downset in the TIV about 5 or 6 times, maybe even more, could have been 7 or 8. It was absolutely insane, and every time I used to go, I'd always stage dive, I'd always have fun. And I remember in '95 I saw Downset in the TIV. They were on their own tour, and they had Shoots Groove and Sullen with them. I don't know if Sullen was at them at the time, but at the end of the gig, I remember James Morris, the bass player. He was such a nice guy. We chatted to him, and at the end of the gig, he gave me this, his pass, which I still have, and I'm so made up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Don't give me that, dude. It's your pass." He's like, "You've earned it." And he even wrote out, I've got it somewhere. There's a set list, and he's written like, "You deserve this," from being just like, I can't remember what he said. Basically, because I was so active. But yeah, so it basically gave me this pass. That's unbelievable. So that was, so there's the dates they did on the back of that. That was '94, and then it carried on to this one. So that's the Shoots Groove one there. Shoots Groove and Friends can go, Downset can go anywhere. Generation of Hope, Europe, UK Tour, 1995. And on the very back, the second to last date, in the UK they did Glasgow, they did Stoke, they did Leeds, Liverpool, Buckley, which is the one I went to, and then the Garage London at the very bottom there. What a gift. What a gift. I've kept it all these years, and I think it's incredible. It was just such a nice gift from him, you know. Can't get it like that. There you go. How cool is that? But yeah, Downset were just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Okay, we'll go from Downset, we'll move on to Doggy Dog, the All Borough Kings. They were great. They were great. This was just out at the time, so they were playing all these. They were kind of brand new. If These Are Good Times, No Fronts, Think, Pull My Finger, Who's the King, Funnel King, In the Doghouse. Yeah, this is a cracking album. This is one of them Roadrunner originals, which I've had for years, which I'm proud to have had. Like, yeah, these were amazing. Same deal. Stage diving all over the place, going crazy. Oh, it was just a magical time. It was an amazing gig. It was an amazing gig, and I'm happy to say now that John and Dave from Doggy Dog are actually friends of mine now, which is amazing to say. We've become really good buds, so that's really cool. So shout out to John and Dave. And then, of course, the Masters. I don't have State of the World Address, which was the tour that they were on for 1994. That State of the World Address had come out. I remember, because Tales from the Hard Side, I remember going up on the mic and singing it, some bits of it. Had long hair. I used to go up on stage, I'd be swinging my hair around, and then I'd dive into the gig. I'd dive into the crowd. Madness. But yeah, it was State of the World Address. But when Biohazard came on, the place just exploded. I just remember bodies flying through the air, stage diving galore. It was absolute chaos. It was so good. And I remember one of the lads in the crowd had gone up on stage, had said something to Evan, and Evan had fucking whacked him across the face. I don't know what he said, but he got a wallop. He sure did. But Evan probably doesn't even remember that. I remember that though. What an absolute gig that was. It was an absolute beast to do. It really was. Yeah. Great times, man. I just wanted to go through that because, like I say, Mike had asked me on his podcast about this gig. It's monumental to me. It's one of them ones that you remember and you take with you forever, sort of thing. And I'm glad I've still got the ticket for it. It's a bit like old and battered now, but it's still there. £5. Come on. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed it. That was this little gig showcase for you, and I will see you soon on the next one. Till then, take care. Cheers.